Marifa.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now let us discuss about the principle man and his position. According to Quran, humans are the ultimate creation of the Creator. So humans are considered as the best creation of the Creator by the Creator himself. So the concept is that man has been given the role of representative. So man is considered, or humans are considered, as a representative of God. Basically, the philosophy is that the human beings are considered as representative, or the word used is vicegerent. Let's now discuss about the principle related to trade and business. Both in the Quran and also in the Sunnah, there is a strong emphasis on doing trade and business. In fact, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, always encouraged people to get themselves involved in trade and business. And he always emphasized on the fact that a person has to be just, he has to be equitable, he has to honor his promise, a person does not have to cheat, a person has to always be transparent in his dealings, so on and so forth. So there are many hadiths, or there are many teachings by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, which emphasize on the fact that people have to involve in trade and business. Maybe the idea being that trade and business creates an atmosphere of activism in the society. Trade and commerce, in a way, develops societies. Trade and commerce, in a way, uplifts the standard of living in a society, so on and so forth. So therefore, the main principle with reference to trade and business is that the activity of trade and business is strongly encouraged in Islam, and there are very clear guidelines with reference to how trade and business needs to be done. Now let us look at the principle of role of money. Islam views money only as a medium of exchange and measure of value. So according to Islam, money is basically a medium of exchange and a measure of value. So basically what we are saying is money is considered as a medium of exchange and a measure of value. All commodities need a medium to measure their value, and money is considered as that medium of measuring the value of all commodities. Money has no intrinsic value. It can only be used for acquiring goods and services. So the concept is that money in itself has no intrinsic value. It can only be used for acquiring goods and services. And this is different from the conventional thought of money. In conventional thought of money, money can bring in money, meaning to say that if I give you $100 and after 10 days I ask you to give me $105, and that $5 have been created by the $100. But according to Islam, money cannot create money. Money is just a medium of exchange, and it is just a unit to measure a value, and it is basically used to measure the value of all commodities, and it is used to acquire goods and services. Let us look at the principle of debt in Islam. Debt can be created in two ways. One is if an asset is sold to a party or a person on a deferred payment terms, and the other is if it's a financial loan. Getting into debt is not encouraged in Islam. It is allowed only in two conditions. One is in the condition of necessity, okay? The other is when there is a potential ability or capability in a person to repay back that debt, then in that situation, a person is allowed to get into debt. Debt is taken very seriously because the idea of debt is that if a person has taken a debt, then unless and until he pays back the debt, that debt is always an obligation on him. And even if that person dies, that obligation still survives. Now let us discuss about the concept of zakat and charity in Islam. We will discuss in detail about zakat, and we have a separate dedicated chapter on zakat. But just to understand what is zakat, zakat is basically a religious obligation on every individual who has surplus wealth to pay 2.5% of the surplus wealth in charity to poor people. So basically zakat is a kind of a religious obligation on every individual who has surplus wealth to pay a specific percentage, 2.5% of the surplus wealth in charity on an annual basis. The idea being that when a person gives and supports somebody in need, that act of giving and supporting is held high in the eyes of the Creator. And hence the principle of charity is ingrained in the Islamic economic philosophy. And in fact, it is a mandatory requirement for wealthy people to pay charity. And that mandatory requirement is in the form of zakat. Let us briefly understand the concept of savings in Islam. Again, there are very clear verses both in the Quran, and there are very clear teachings by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the Sunnah, which encourages people to save money. Save money for bad times, save money for family, save money for people who are related to an individual. So the idea is that a person has to save money so that that saved money could be used for the benefit of the dependents, for the benefit and in the bad times. So saving is again a very important principle, Islamic economic principle, which is strongly encouraged.